Hello, this is Daniel Raymond, the voice behind Ray's Guide. Following on from my video about the MiddleFreight boxing champion, we're now going to look at the smaller side from there. In fact, we're going to be looking at two separate weight classes, the light MiddleFreight ships from 50 to 100 SCU and the light freight ships from 20 to 50 SCU. I was going to do this video earlier, but then we had leaks about a new ship in this category, a variant on the Prowler, and so I decided to hold it off until we can include it. Beneath 20 SCU I call feather freight, but honestly these are not particularly noteworthy even for small cargo ships. Their cargo is more for loot storage than actual freighting. And to review the 7 criteria, they are gridded SCU capacity, grid efficiency and being able to fill the grid capacity with the fewest containers, vehicle carrying capacity, particularly if the vehicles can be carried without losing grid space, the ability to carry an Atlas, particularly again without losing cargo space, the presence of an onboard tractor beam, whether the grid is easy to access for loading and unloading, and finally, price. Since this is where the new Esperial Prowler utility is, let's start with the light freight category from 20 to 50 SCU. Finishing in 4th place, remember, out of 4, is the Prowler Cargo. And unless I'm going to add an 8th category for sexiness, it wasn't even close to being higher. So since this is a completely new ship, I'm going to run down each of the criteria individually. First, gridded cargo capacity. At 32, this is at the low end of the group, but not the lowest. Grid efficiency, it looks like it can handle a 32 SCU as 2 16 SCU containers, so it actually is tied with the Zeus ES as the best in this category. But vehicle carrying capacity, it does not do, and it would seem to be able to carry 2 Atlas mechs upside down, but not without taking away cargo grid space. It does get credit for having an external tractor beam, and I gave the grid full points for being as easy to load and unload as an external cargo rack. Now, just based on these 6 criteria, the Prowler would come in barely in 3rd place ahead of the Nomad rather than 4th, but with the $300 ship value, nearly twice of any other ship in this category, and its composite score is firmly in the basement. For curiosity, I tested how cheap would the Prowler utility have to be in order to win the light freight category. The answer, $65. Now, CIG presented this as not really a freighter, but a fast combat resupply and loot extraction vessel. So what does that actually mean in the game reality? Under current and even planned item recovery rules, you don't need to resupply with armor, and weapons can be usually scrounged from fallen soldiers, and a typical heavy backpack can carry a lot of ammo if you just plan ahead. So what this might be seen as an emergency IKTI replacement vehicle. In other words, your IKTI is destroyed, you die, and then you respawn in the med bed, but you need a new IKTI. But honestly, do you need a whole $300 ship value craft, plus the extra player being taken from the front line, just for that? After all, if your assault force's medbed is in a Carrack or Polaris or such, store the extra IKTIs on the ship. And if your force's medbed is in a Nursa delivered by a cargo vehicle, well, basically the same thing. The other function is, let's call it Pickpocket Cargo. I find some victim unloading cargo at an outpost, swoop in, grab the cargo literally off the pad, and then zoom off between shouts of, "Hey, you should have hired escorts," and "This can't be griefing because CIG made a ship just for doing it." Which, yes, you can do, but do you really need a $300 ship value just for doing pickpocket cargo? Particularly since there are 2 other ships in this same category for far less money and properly equipped except for some stealth and no alien tags. What I find disheartening about the Prowler utility is that I have to imagine that sometime in the not-too-distant past there was a meeting to discuss ways to leverage the Prowler platform, and somebody said, "Hey, let's make a missile or torpedo version of it." And somebody said, "Hey, let's make a bomber version." And somebody said, "Hey, let's make a bounty hunter version." And then they couldn't think of anything more. Somebody in the back said, "Hey, let's do a cargo version." And that was the one they picked. Unless, of course, the decision was, well, let's do all of them, but start with the least interesting one and then build up. So let's move on to those other ships in the light freight boxing class. 3rd place, but only missing 2nd by a hair's breadth, is the Nomad. Big pluses for the Nomad offsetting having the smallest cargo grade capacity were its vehicle hauling capability and ease of loading and unloading, and yes, an onboard ship tractor beam for that grab-and-go gameplay. All that for just $80 in ship value. Second place, the Zeus II ES, with the same cargo capacity and efficiency as the Prowler utility. It has better vehicle carrying capacity and can carry an Atlas off-grid, but does not have a shipboard tractor beam, unlike the Zeus II CE. And then the light freight boxing champion, the longtime ruling favorite, the Cutlass Black. The highest capacity of the class, although least efficient layout, but good vehicle handling and onboard tractor beam suitable for grab-and-go operations, and a good value if a little more expensive than the Nomad. So with the lightweight champion name, let's move on to the light MiddleFreight class, which has 5 ships. Finishing at number 5 is the Freelancer. This is one of the oldest ships in the game, and while several updates have improved on it, the original design problems are proving hard to eliminate. Those are a long and narrow cargo bay that requires lots of small crates to fully fill, and a middle cargo bay that is very difficult to load and unload. It can, however, hold an Atlas off-grid and does a good job with carrying vehicles. Its low price also helps. Number 4 is the Corsair. The cargo bay is more efficient and easier to load and unload than many in this class, and it can hold an Atlas off-grid. But it is held back by being the highest priced ship in this category. The next 2 ships in this class were a dead heat, so I decided to use value as a tiebreaker. Third place is the Constellation Andromeda, which has the highest capacity in this class at 96, an easy-to-load lift, and very good vehicle handling capability. Mostly what held it back was a high price compared to the other ships in its class. Second place on the tiebreaker of value was the least expensive light middle freight ship, the Hull A. But there's more to the Hull A than just a low price tag. There's extreme ease of loading and unloading and an efficient grid. The big downside of the Hull A is its lack of vehicle carrying capacity, and it would be nice if it had a shipboard tractor. Now, on to the light middle freight champion, the Crusader Spirit C1. Big pluses on the C1 were being able to fill the cargo grid with just 2 32 SCU crates, excellent off-grid vehicle handling, an excellent off-grid Atlas carrying capacity, and an onboard tractor beam. About the only thing I can fault the C1 about, and it isn't one of the judging criteria, is that it has a larger than normal footprint for a ship of this class, which can be a bit of a problem if trying to get close to your destination. But that is kind of stretching, finding something negative. Now for an update on the giveaways, we have the video contest that I just recently announced and running until the September release, whatever that release number is, with the reward being either the amazing all-encompassing Assault Lander, the Asgard, or the tactical terrifying Terrier, the Starlancer TAC. Look at the reference video for the contest rules. Then we have our regular annual IAE week ship giveaway for the shiny stainless steel series shipping ship, the Starlancer Max. And then the Grow the Channel ship giveaway for the winner's choice, the marvelous multi-role mining meta, the Arasta, or the brand new big box bargain bazaar, the Merchantman. 1 entry per video for those 2 drawings. Be a member for automatic entry with each video, or just subscribe and comment with the secret word. And the secret word for this video is what the Prowler utility would be good at emergency delivery of. Fly safe, keep it real, and I'll see you in the verse. This is Danny Raymond with Ray's Guide.